I'm Trent Alexander-Arnold.
I'm Curtis Jones.
I am Cody Gakpo.
Putting on the Liverpool top for the first time, it was a dream come true, and I'll never forget that moment.
The new LFC 24-25 season Nike home kit is out now.
Buy it today, along with our new goalkeeper kit and training range at your official LFC stores. Online at liverpoolfc.com/store and on the official LFC store app.
You will never walk alone.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
I'm Alex Rodriguez.
And I'm Jason Kelly.
From Bloomberg, this is The Deal. Each week, you'll hear us in conversation with business icons.
This show will explore deal-making across sports, media, and entertainment.
That is a harsh lesson in business.
Sports is not as simple as bringing a bunch of big names together.
I didn't want to do another stomp you out speech.
It opened up so many more doors.
The show is called The Deal.
Listen to The Deal.
Listen to The Deal on Spotify.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our quick publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to AI Scouted on Anfield Index Pro. I'm Dave Hendrick, joined as always by Mr. Karl Matchett. How are you, sir?
I am okay. I can't honestly tell if I'm excited for the end of the season or utterly ambivalent about the end of the season. It's a quite weird end to the season. And quite frankly, this was probably longer an answer than you were expecting anyway, so let's just stop.
No, I think you're right, because there is that sort of mixture of feelings. Like, our season is ending as a damp squib, so it's very hard to feel anything one way or another. Normally, we'd look forward to the transfer window and what might happen. And we'll get there, I think. But obviously, there's a lot of uncertainty because Jurgen is leaving. Now, obviously, the belief is that Arne Slot is the one that's coming in. It hasn't been announced yet, but I think everybody is of that belief. And I assume that next week it will probably be announced. But again, that comes with its own sort of nerves. A new manager, one that a lot of people are quite unsure on, making a huge step up from the Eredivisie. He wasn't on anybody's list of potential replacements for Klopp when the whole process began. And obviously then there's a feeling of sadness as well, because the Klopp era is coming to an end. And even though I would say the timing is right, I don't think it really should have gone on any longer. There's incredible things that have happened while that man has been at the club. One of the best teams that we've ever seen was built, and we're going to get into this a lot more. But I get what you're saying about, it's hard to know how you feel about the end of the season.
Yeah, I think that's right. And even like on a wider scale, like it looked for a while like it was a real 3-horse race for the title. It isn't. And even though there are two teams technically who can still win it, basically from about 2 matches ago for Man City, no longer look like anybody could stop them getting wins. So even though Arsenal are there and have done as much as they could be to be there, it just doesn't feel like a big race to me. At the bottom, obviously, there is still I don't even know how to think about the bottom of the table. The bottom of the table would have been absolutely nothing at all this season other than for teams getting points taken off them. You know? So even going into the last day, yes, technically it's still alive because Luton could win the last game 20-0 or whatever, but it just feels like all of that has been done for ages as well because of badness of that 3 at the bottom and the fact that the only reason they're anywhere near anything at all is, like I say, points deductions. That would have been wrapped up a long time ago. Top 4 for a while. 4th place looked like it could be any of 3 teams, maybe even 4 teams. In the end, it was just Villa or Tottenham. And in the end, Villa are there because Tottenham have just lost their way to the end of the season. That's it. Like, nobody has really, other than obviously Man City and Arsenal, nobody has really won their way to anything at all at this point. And even if you take into account the Cup, all the English teams lost their way. All the English teams lost matches they probably shouldn't have. I think possibly every English team went out to teams that they shouldn't have other than West Ham, off the top of my head. And you can even take that back to the group stage where Newcastle absolutely imploded. Man United were abysmal. It's just been a really, really weird Premier League season overall. Just like lots and lots and lots of bad defending throughout. Lots of teams going through decent runs, but being poor for longer stretches. Teams who you're expecting good progression from further down the table, like Brighton, have obviously hit their own roadblocks in different ways. It's just been a bit of an odd season overall, and I'm not hugely sad it's coming to an end.
No, I fully agree. I think it's overall been quite a disappointing, underwhelming Premier League season. I know people will point to yet another title being won with over 90 points and say, oh, well, look how strong the league is. But, I mean, Aston Villa are going to get 4th, potentially with less than 70 points. Spurs have lost 4 of their last 5. Newcastle have lost 13 games this season and could finish 6th. Chelsea have been an absolute disgrace this year and could finish 6th. Manchester United have been atrocious this year. Now, it's very unlikely given the goal difference, but in theory, they could finish 6th. They're more likely to finish 8th, obviously. West Ham have lost 13 games. They're going to finish in 9th. They've had a strange year where recently it's kind of felt like they gave up for a long time. Brighton have been ravaged by injuries and they're going to finish in the top half. You know, they've had a lot of individual poor performances as well, and yet they're going to finish in the top half almost certainly. It's just a weird year. And look, you look at the bottom of the league and, 16 points in the worst defensive effort of all time, 24 points and, not very good for most of the year, 26 points. You might get a point against Luton. Maybe you go down with 27, but your goal difference is minus 31. Like, it used to be in this league that obviously teams would win the league with like high 70s, low 80s points totals. And people now try to point to, oh, well, you need 90 now to win the league. But you also don't need 40 to stay up as it used to be. Like now, this season, 27 will probably keep you up. 29 definitely will keep you up this year. Like the league is very, very strange. And like you said, the European campaigns, I think every one of them ended in huge disappointment, as you said. United went out of a weak group. To be fair to them, Toon had a tough group, but they probably still should have progressed. Arsenal had an easy group, almost went out to a bad Porto team, went out to the worst Bayern team in 15 years. City went out to Real. I mean, I can accept going out to Real in the Champions League. They're the only one I would say they shouldn't be disappointed, but they will still be disappointed. Then us and West Ham and Villa, I think we'd all be very disappointed about how we went out, the manner in which we went out. As you said, West Ham, Leverkusen are just flat out better than them, but the manner in which they went out, I think, will upset them a bit. And even like the FA Cup, is anybody really bothered about the final this year? It's just a very strange year. I don't know what to make of it. What I'm firm in the belief of is that overall, while Arsenal have had a better Premier League season than us, which is why they're ahead of us, I think overall we've had a better season than them. We got to an FA Cup quarter-final. They went out in the third round, which is the first hurdle for them. We won the League Cup. They went out in the fourth round, which is the second hurdle for them. We both went out at the same stages in Europe. And while, yes, they were in the Champions League, I mean, it wasn't exactly the hardest run in the world. We've played more games than them this year. In total, Arsenal have played 51 games. We've played 58. We've won more games than them. Now, a big part of that is that we've played more. We've won 38 in all competitions. Arsenal have won 33. But what really strikes me is that they've lost 10 games this year. We've only lost 8. We've also scored 29 goals more than them. Now, we have conceded 22 more than them, but, you know, I would argue that third and a trophy, when you're at least in the mix for the title into April, is a better season than second and nothing.
Yeah. I mean, I think overall, the argument for them would be that they've had a better season because they've progressed further or they've progressed closer to the actual end goal, you know, of winning the title, of you know, being a stronger side in Europe, that sort of thing. So you can understand from that perspective. But ultimately, if you're going to take anything at all from either of our seasons, you want to win something. So small as it may be, I'd take the League Cup. I like the cups, the domestic cups. I like us winning them. So I would still take that. But I think the overriding thing from both is still going to be, still need to improve, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, they've gone up this season. Assuming they beat Everton on the final day, they'll finish this season 5 points better off than they did last year. That's it's not nothing. But it also hasn't won them anything. I don't feel this was a vintage City team. And City dropped points in 10 games this year as they did last year, but I still feel like City have a level to go up, and if they add Guimaraes and Paqueta, as is reported this summer, it's going to be very hard to touch them. For Arsenal to spend what they spent and go up 5 points, I think they'll feel disappointed by that. We spent considerably less, and assuming we beat Wolves on the final day, we'll have improved 15 points on last year. So, like, I would rather have had our season than theirs, even with the way ours ended. A part of that is because we went through sitting and hoping that City would drop points in run-ins, and that's absolutely torturous. And we went through those emotions on the final day that Arsenal fans are preparing themselves for, of, well, West Ham might get something. David Moyes might have something for us. West Ham are getting absolutely trolleyed on the final day of the season. The sooner City fans just accept, or Arsenal fans accept that and come to terms with it, and don't go into that final day living on the expectation of David Moyes doing something, the better they'll be, because we went through it. Like, we had horrible final days. That game, City against Villa, will never leave me. The fact that they were 2-0 down, and Villa somehow, Steven Gerrard somehow blew it all up in the air and made a mess of things. But anyway, enough of that. We'll talk more about that when the Premier League season is over. We'll do our end of season awards. We'll laugh at Arsenal and whatever else we feel the need to do. What we're actually here to do today is to take part in a series that is being put together by AnfieldIndex called Auf Wiedersehen Klopp. And we've been given 7 questions to go over and kind of give our thoughts on. Now, one of them is one that we'll skip over. We'll mention the question and we'll give a quick answer, but we'll skip over it in large part because that's kind of our summer content, but we'll come to that. So question 1, Mr. Matchett. What were your expectations when Jurgen Klopp was announced as Liverpool manager back in 2015?
I'm Trent Alexander-Arnold.
I'm Curtis Jones.
I am Cody Gakpo.
Putting on the Liverpool top for the first time, it was a dream come true, and I'll never forget that moment.
The new LFC 24-25 season Nike home kit is out now.
Buy it today, along with our new goalkeeper kit and training range at your official LFC stores. Online at liverpoolfc.com/store and on the official LFC store app.
You will never walk alone.
I'm Alex Rodriguez.
And I'm Jason Kelly.
From Bloomberg, this is The Deal. Each week, you'll hear us in conversation with business icons.
This show will explore deal-making across sports, media, and entertainment.
That is a harsh lesson in business.
Sports is not as simple as bringing a bunch of big names together.
I didn't want to do another stomp you out speech.
It opened up so many more doors.
The show is called
The Deal.
Listen to The Deal.
Listen to The Deal on Spotify.
This episode is supported by FX's Clipped, the scandalous story of the 2014 Clippers owner's racist remarks captured on tape and heard around the world. The series charts the tape's impact on a dysfunctional basketball organization striving to win against their reputation as the most cursed team in the league. Starring Lawrence Fishburne, Jackie Weaver, Cleopatra Coleman, and Ed O'Neill. FX's Clipped, streaming June 4th, only on Hulu.
Be better. Not lose 6-1 to Stoke. God. I was looking forward to a complete refresh, to be honest. Obviously, we'd had a period where the football was exciting and we looked like we could win more matches because we could score loads of goals, but we obviously never looked an elite side, and that was certainly shown continentally more than domestically under Brendan Rodgers. So it was good for a period, or enjoyable for a period, but towards the end and the last 18 months, absolutely in particular, it was pretty dreadful. So a complete refresh and fresh start and all the rest of it was the first thing I was looking for, just to get rid of the backlog of, heavy defeats, awful defensive work, that kind of thing. In actual practical answers, I would say the things I was looking for was, one, a competently set up team off the ball. However that was going to be, at the time there was lots of talk of obviously counter-attack and heavy metal football, blah, 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 blah. I don't really care at the time how it was going to be, whether it was going to be classic Klopp or whether he was going to do something different. I just wanted it to be a properly set up team off the ball, a team that could defend, basically, however that defensive work was done. And the second thing that I was looking forward to see was a clear identity in terms of team setup, because it's easy to forget now, but towards the end of Brendan Rodgers' reign, we would be playing like 3 and 4 formations a game, and it wasn't because we were tactically flexible, it was because we were tactically inept and nothing was working. Like the FA Cup semi-final against Villa. Fuck me. I know this is a Klopp appreciation podcast, but we're going to have to do a couple of disgruntled moments, aren't we? 'Cause that's the whole point.
We played 4 formations in one half of that game.
So of a game where you should be absolutely full of clarity of how you're going to approach the match, the opposition, all the rest of it, and we had no idea of what to do about anything at all. So that was really what I was looking forward to with Klopp. It was real clarity of the approach. It was a really proper setup. I knew it was going to take a bit of time because confidence would have been rock bottom at that moment in the squad. There would have been a lot of obviously upheaval about who was going to be in favour and out of favour, who could approach the type of football he wanted to play in the right way, and so on and so forth. But that was really what I was looking forward to. Same as most of the time you are, to be honest, when you get a new manager. It doesn't happen that often to Liverpool compared to other teams, because we don't tend to sack managers because they've been so terrible all the time. And this year is obviously going to be, again, slightly different to that kind of situation. But at that point, that was the first time since probably Houllier left where I really wanted a complete change of direction. Because Houlier's last year, I never wanted Houllier sacked. And I really liked the person that our manager was at that time, but I could see that the team was going nowhere at that point, and I wanted a complete change. And when Klopp came in, it was the same. That was what I was really looking forward to, a total change in team setup, on the ball, tactically, the way that we played, obviously, and the defensive work.
Hello there. Have you ever found yourself getting ready to watch the Liverpool match? You've got your mates round, you've got your drinks, you've got your snacks, you're all set to go. It's going to be a good day. And then you find out, oh, the game's not actually being broadcast in your region. There's the heartbreak, there's rage, there's despair, there's fury. You're upset. You're looking for a solution. Well, we've teamed up with NordVPN to bring you a game-changing solution. That's right. With NordVPN, you can switch your virtual location to a country where the game's on live. It's like having a global ticket to sports, TV shows, and movies from all around the world. And here's the best part. If you go to nordvpn.com/AnfieldIndex, you'll score the best discount on your NordVPN plan. Plus, our link gives you 4 extra months free on the 2-year plan. And that's what we call a winning streak. And if you're sitting there and you're thinking, what if it's not for me? What if I don't like it? What if I'm not getting the use of it? Don't worry about it. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee, so it's totally risk-free. I've been using NordVPN to catch all the Liverpool matches and TV shows that I'd normally miss out on. It's totally transformed both my weekends and my TV watching. And not only that, not only does it give me access to stuff from all around the world with the click of a button, it keeps all my data safe. It means that the miscreants, the ne'er-do-wells, what my grandmother would have called scallywags, who lurk on the internet to try and steal your information, can't get to your information. NordVPN keeps it safe for you. So don't let geo-restrictions bench you this season. Visit nordvpn.com/AnfieldIndex and make sure that you're in the game, no matter when or where it's being played. Remember, it's not just sports, it's your all-access pass to binge-worthy TV shows and blockbuster movies from all around the globe. NordVPN literally unlocks the world for you and keeps you safe from the world. So don't miss out. Head over to nordvpn.com/AnfieldIndex and let the fun and games begin. Yeah, just to again rehash that Villa game, sometimes you see like a club from a lower league play a Premier League team in a cup game, like a third round cup game, and they're getting absolutely chased all over the pitch and the manager's scrambling for anything that might work just to try and make a game of it. So he goes back 3, he might stick 2 up top, he might play 4 across, he might play 5 across, they might get level, he might go back to a back 4 or back 5 and park the bus. And you just see him cycling through all these things, just trying to find anything that works. And that's basically what Brendan Rodgers was doing that day against an Aston Villa team that finished 17th in the Premier League and the following season were relegated with one of the lowest points totals in Premier League history. That was the caliber of team that was making us look absolutely inept on that day at Wembley. So like you, for me, I was looking for a manager to come in with a real identity and give Liverpool a real identity, because when Brendan was appointed, he came in with this philosophy of playing that was, patient build-up. It was possession-based. It was about control. He was one who'd heavily borrowed from Guardiola. When Pep took over at Barca, we got this run of managers in the subsequent years that were, heavily influenced by what he was doing. And Rodgers was very much one of them. And within 4 months, he just abandoned those principles. And we went from being a team that was trying to control games to let's give it to Suarez and hope for the best type of team. And Coutinho and Sturridge arrive in the January, and then we're off to the races. And for 18 months, we're not an elite team, but we've got arguably at that time the second best player on the planet and a great supporting cast around him of attacking talent. Sturridge, Coutinho, Raheem Sterling, Steven Gerrard, late in his career, obviously, playing a deeper role, awful defensively, but still magnificent on the ball. But defensively, we're a train wreck. And we do this for 18 months and we almost won the league. And then Suarez left. And now Rodgers is stuck because the team that he had kind of crafted was built around one player being able to just be better than everybody else on the pitch. And without that player, nobody else was as good. We also started to get injuries. And through that season, we massively lost our way. We had that one long unbeaten run when Rodgers went to a back three. And as I've always said to you, when a manager who doesn't play a back three goes to a back three, I immediately think spoofer. It's because they don't know how to sort out the defensive issues. So they're throwing another defensive player on and hoping for the best. And that's basically what Rodgers was doing for a long time at Liverpool. So when Jurgen was coming in, for me, it was very much, I just want to see us have an identity. I want to see us play and know that that's Liverpool playing Liverpool football. And whatever that football is going to be, is what that football is going to be. We had a distinct identity under Houllier, a distinct identity under Benitez. They were different identities, but they were distinct. You could very clearly explain them to the fella next to you. If he didn't know anything about football, in 5 minutes you could explain to him, this is how Liverpool play, this is what they do. With Rodgers, it was a week-long seminar you were having to hold to explain 10% of what Liverpool were trying to do to anybody. So that was my primary thing. The other thing as well was wanting to have an elite level manager. My expectation of Jurgen was very high. I'd followed him from Mainz to Dortmund. I'd seen him win those titles when Kenny was let go. Klopp was the one I wanted us to go and try and get. I believe we did try and get him at the time. He wasn't ready to leave Dortmund. He had been sort of the number one pick for a lot of people. You know, the kind of the dream choice. We knew we were never getting Pep. We knew that Mourinho, A, financially wouldn't come to us, and B, his beliefs didn't really, and his persona didn't really align with the club. So it was Klopp and maybe Carlo. Maybe Carlo would take this on, but given where we were at that time, we needed a complete rebuild, and that was never going to be Carlo's thing. Carlo's not the type of guy that rebuilds a club. He goes in, makes the final tweaks, and wins games. So when Jurgen took over, my expectation was, number one, a real identity. And number two, I've seen you win league titles. I expect you to win a league title here. And that was it for me.
Yeah, I mean, the league title was obviously the big ambition. I can't honestly say I expected it because as much as I wanted it, it's just always seems so far away, or the moments where we did get close, it was one-offs. And so, to be honest, even the campaigns before we obviously got there and managed to finish first, when we were coming like fourth, I could still see that we could get better. When we came second, perhaps there was not really any way for us to be better at that point. Like at that point, it would have been very, very fair for us to say that's the best we could ever be in a Premier League season, and we haven't won the league, and that's it. So if we never got past that point, I wouldn't have been massively surprised. That was just the era that he happens to be in, obviously. The title would definitely have been an ambition that I wanted him to win the league, but I can't say that was honestly my expectation just because of probably prior scar tissue around the brain from watching Liverpool for so long.
Well, my expectation of any manager who's appointed is that you win the league, and if you don't, out you go. Like, for me, if you don't win a league or a European Cup with this club, you have failed. The one I would give a pass to on that is Houllier, because he won the Cup treble and he re-established us as a real force in Europe. But any other manager that hasn't won either a league or a European Cup, I would mark down as a failure. Moving on. Question number 2. Klopp's era includes remarkable highs such as the 2019 Champions League victory and the 2020 Premier League title. Which season or moment would you say was the pinnacle of Klopp's time at Liverpool, and why?
So this is an easier one for me to answer, I think. When 2019 started, as in the calendar year, we lost to Man City and we lost to Wolves. Wolves was in the FA Cup, which I think, if I remember rightly, was Keanu Hoover's appearance very early on. After that, from the 12th of January 2019, all the way through the calendar year and through then to February, it must have been, mid-February of 2020, that entire 14-month period, Liverpool were the best in the world.
Yeah.
That was the pinnacle. I know it's not a season, it crosses 2 seasons.
It's a year, though. It's that year, yeah.
That period, there was not a better team anywhere than Liverpool.
Yeah.
Like, for quite a long time of that, it was not even close. And that period, again, I know it's not a season, but that period of time will forever, for me, be the absolute pinnacle that a team has reached. That Liverpool have reached for sure, but that a team that I've been able to see week on week have reached. Maybe the Barcelona or the Ajax teams or whatever from previously, but I didn't watch them every week, partly because I wasn't alive at the time. This one I got to watch every single game, and they were exceptional. Like, between those 2 dates, like the 14-month run, we lost 1 game to Barcelona, and we know what happened the next time that we played them a couple of weeks later. We lost 1 game to Napoli in a group stage in the Champions League, which ultimately didn't matter. And we lost 1 game to Aston Villa when we played about 8, 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
And they hammered us in the cup because we were away doing bigger, better things. We won during that period the European Cup. We won the Super Cup. We won the Club World Cup. We were officially the best team in the world at that point. We came back, and the match which sticks in my mind as like summing us up as where we were at that point was after the travel, after Christmas and everybody else had been taking advantage of us being away and all the rest of it, and we were supposed to come back and lose, and we absolutely blitzed Leicester City.
Yeah.
We were the best team anywhere at that point. And the winning run that we'd been on, obviously domestically, from the start of that season through for another couple of months yet, is what won us the title. What came afterwards with COVID and no fans and all the rest of it, just talking from a football perspective here, obviously, is a massive shame and disappointment, obviously. But the title was already won before it. And that period, the January 19 to February 2020, that will be something that if Liverpool ever get back to that level again and I get to witness it, I will be, 1, surprised, but 2, extremely happy for what I'm watching.
Oh, 100%. I mean, the level of dominance displayed. So those games that we lost, Man City was the 3rd of January, Wolves 7th of January. We win back-to-back games, away to Brighton, home to Palace. We draw 2 games, Leicester and West Ham. And unfortunately, that kind of cost us the title that year. We beat Bournemouth, drew away to United, hammered Watford, drew away to Everton. And then we rattled off 9 wins in a row to end that season. And also, as you said, went on and won the European Cup, demolishing Porto, beating Barca. Actually, of course, it started with beating Bayern Munich over 2 legs, including a very, very, very good win in Munich, 3-1. We have that amazing night where we come back against Barcelona and obviously then beat Spurs in the European Cup final. Like, the end to that season was incredible. To overcome the disappointment of not winning the league by winning the Champions League was an amazing feeling. So having ended the previous season with 9 wins in a row, we begin the next season with 8 wins in a row in the league. So that's 17 Premier League wins in a row. And then we draw at Old Trafford. And you think, okay, we'll probably have a little sticky patch here. But we've had this great start. We've built a good lead and hopefully we can maintain that. But what comes after is just incredible, to just reel off win after win after win all the way through to February. We went and we won another 17 games in a row. And we were just stupidly good. stupidly good. To win 26 out of 27 Premier League games is absolutely unheard of. I don't care who you are. That run, even just taking it from the 10th of March 2019, that run where we win 35 of 36 games, that's the best any Premier League team ever in history has gotten near. Arsenal's Invincibles, United treble winners, City treble winners, City Centurions, whatever you want to put up, nobody has done that. It was absolutely phenomenal. And we lose to Watford, we come back, we beat Bournemouth, and then obviously football stops. Now, we've also gone out of the European Cup, losing both games to Atleti. As you mentioned, we'd gone out of the League Cup to Villa, and we'd gone out of the FA Cup to Chelsea a couple of days earlier. But just that run, even taking in that Watford defeat, that run from when City and Wolves beat us in back-to-back games right up until we lose to Watford and then lose to Chelsea a few days later, and then come back and beat Bournemouth and football stops. Like that is absolutely ridiculous. But
hey guys, it's Eddie Gibbs from Anfield Index here. I hope you're enjoying this podcast, and I'm sorry to call time on the show before it ends. In the current climate, it's tougher than ever before to offer podcasts for free. At Anfield Index, we produce over 75 free shows every month, which I'm confident is unparalleled in the LFC sphere. Whilst we'd love to offer everything for free, the production costs now make this impossible. That said, we don't want to follow the model of other channels and lock all of our content behind a paywall. So what we've decided to do is to continue offering every show for free, but cut that offering to 30 minutes on our longer shows. So to get all of our shows in full and enjoy the best of everything we have to offer, we really hope you'll consider supporting the channel and signing up at AnfieldIndexPro.com. For about the price of 1 cup of coffee, you'll get every podcast in full with 0 ads. You'll also get access to our LFC VIP community, where you can enjoy live podcasts, engage with our podcasters, and chat with other Reds in real time. So that website again, AnfieldIndexPro.com. Join today.
Sports Social Podcast Network.